Welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 519 of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Chandler Hunter. Here at the Unpopular Podcast, not only asked to agree with me, I'm asked you to hear me out. We've talked about this before, but the whole concept of negotiations usually means that one side has demands, the other side has demands that they're willing to meet, and you try to meet in the middle. And a lot of times, everything that side A asks for, they don't get. Everything that side B wants to or is willing to pay, they don't. They might have to pay more, but it's about negotiation. It's about figuring out how you can do it, how we can get to a healthy medium. And the aspect that I think people forget, and I know people forget it because there's sayings about it. One saying is you can't mix personal with business. And to a certain extent, I agree. But we forget about the human aspect of it. We forget the fact that you're talking to somebody that may feel a certain way about something and has feelings, has emotions, and you can call that sensitive, but I just say that's what it is to be a human. I start this episode off with report. I think Diana Rossini dropped it. I don't remember who was the one that broke it, but it's saying that Micah Parsons could request a trade out of Dallas, and saying that the relationship between him and the team could possibly be severed, and it's definitely strained right now. And to be completely honest, a part of it is because they still haven't gotten a deal done. When you look at defensive players in the league, it is a very small list that you can name before you can get to Micah Parsons. And honestly, that list might only have one person, maybe two, depending on how you feel about TJ Watt. And this is why I say you never want to let a player get to the end of their contract, especially a player that has outperformed their current contract and a player that you want to keep, because they're just going to be more and more and more money. When you look at the market, and the market changes almost every day, when you see a player that is close to the caliber of the player we are talking about get paid. When you see Myles Garrett make as much as he makes, when you see TJ Watt makes as much as he makes, that is going to go up because you're talking about a person in Micah Parsons who is younger than them and still producing at the same level. I know we can't tell anyone how to spend their money. It's their money. They work hard for it. I get it. I know we can't tell Jerry Jones how to spend his money. We can't say, yo, pay Micah Parsons and get it and it's done. I also can't tell Jerry Jones how to operate business. Because when you look at the success of the Dallas Cowboys, a lot of that is because of Jerry Jones. So I'm not going to sit here and say that he's a terrible businessman. I'm not going to sit here and say that he has terrible business acumen. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't seem like the steps that he's taken in these negotiations, whether we talk about Micah Parsons, whether we talk about CeeDee Lamb, whether we talk about Dak Prescott, it doesn't seem that he's made the smartest decisions. Now, his decisions have ultimately got Dak Prescott paid and CeeDee Lamb paid, but there's always a feeling of, one, you overpaid. Two, what took so long? And three, you overpaid and it took so long because of your inability to negotiate, or your inability to see the market, even though everyone else does. So it would behoove me to question the business aspect of Jerry Jones, because you look at the Dallas Cowboys, one of, if not the most successful sports franchise in sports. But I will say this. I feel like there have been multiple missteps when we just talk about this Michael Parsons thing. We're going to talk about trade requests in a second because I'm going to talk about Terry McLaurin after this. But if you're negotiating somebody and it's a fair negotiation and you guys still haven't come to a decision, I don't think that is how we got here. And again, what I mean by here is the relationship between the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons seemed to be extremely strained. But when it seems like you take every opportunity when there's a mic in front of you, when you're asked a question, it seems like you take every opportunity not only to justify why you haven't paid Micah Parsons, but to seemingly take shots at Micah Parsons, who, again, is Dallas's best player, essentially. That is going to, on top of not having a deal done, that is going to cause friction. That is why I think Dallas and Micah Parsons are here. Not the fact that they haven't got a deal done, it's the fact of, okay, the saying is you're playing in my face. I get the fact that you're hesitant to pay, cool, but you keep going and you keep seemingly talking down on me, talking down on my game. If that's why Micah Parsons, I believe, came out on social media and was like, if you don't want me here, that's fine. I can definitely go. Because it seems like Jerry Jones does not want Micah Parsons there. Because by the actions, not just with the negotiation, but what he keeps saying in the media. It's crazy to think that the Dallas Cowboys, who are religious in putting off these contracts to the very last minute. I think Dak Prescott didn't get paid until like the week before week 1. Same with CeeDee Lamb or something close to that. But I just feel like there has been multiple missteps in this Micah Parsons situation. You also have to realize Micah Parsons ain't Dak Prescott. These are all different people. He's not CeeDee Lamb. And I'm not saying that they will accept things that he wouldn't, but we're dealing with different people, different temperaments, different wants, different needs. And it just seems like every single chance Jerry Jones has had in this process to essentially put his foot in his mouth, he's done that. And now you're in jeopardy of losing your essentially best player. It just doesn't, I don't know. I will say this, though. Dallas has an opportunity to be very good this year. When you have Dak Prescott coming back, you have a very young offensive line. I don't know if they're going to be good in the beginning of the year, but towards the end, when they round into form, they have a chance to be one of the best offensive lines in football. You have one of the best receiving duos in CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. You also just paid Ferguson. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have Micah, you have Trayvon Diggs, like you bland, you have you have some pieces, but a lot of that is contingent, obviously, on having your best players. And I still think that there's hope that a deal is going to get done because, again, when we talk about CeeDee Lamb, when we talk about Dak Prescott, they didn't really get a deal until the end of their contracts. Or until the midnight hour. But I just don't get the urge or the need, the want. And I think, you know what it is? Actually, I do get it. I think maybe in the past, this makes Jerry Jones look, this would have made Jerry Jones look good as a businessman when you're essentially talking to the media in real time while negotiating with a player. Maybe it's like the transparency helps. Maybe I don't know. But one thing that I also know is with this Michael Parsons situation, and the reason why the news came out now is because it is not helping. Speaking of not helping, I want to talk about Terry McLaurin. I feel like I have to preference this every time I talk about the Washington Commanders or talk about an issue with the Washington Commanders. I am a Washington Commanders fan. I've been a fan my whole life. I grew up essentially I grew up essentially 15, 20 minutes from the stadium. I am invested in the Washington Commanders. And I'm all about retaining good players. I'm all about retaining players that is important to the team, that's good, that serves a purpose. And this whole Terry McLaurin situation has been looming over this offseason for the Washington Commanders. Obviously, Terry McLaurin wants a new contract, and reports are saying that he wants, quote, considerably more than someone like DK Metcalf. And let me remind you, DK Metcalf, I believe, is the fourth highest paid wide receiver in the league behind Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb, I believe. And it has come out that negotiations have not been smooth, obviously, when we talk about Washington and Terry. Now, Terry did report to camp. He also has stated that he wants to remain a Commander, but at the right price. Well, report came out, I believe, yesterday or the day before, saying that he has requested a trade. Now, kind of like with Michael Parsons, requesting a trade doesn't necessarily mean that person is going to get traded. Requesting a trade, we've seen several times where players have requested a trade and they got a deal done. A request and trade, I think the sole purpose for that is to put pressure on the person you're negotiating with, letting you know, yo, I'm serious. Like, I want to be here, but if you guys don't want to pay me what you feel I want to be paid, then I have absolutely no problem in leaving. And it's going to sound bad when I say this, but it's true. It's a desperate attempt. But I'm not saying it in a sense of don't do that. What I'm saying is I'm letting you know how serious I am about this. I am desperate in letting you know that if you do not pay me what I feel I'm worth, what the market says I'm worth, I'm out of here. So when I say desperate, I don't mean it in a sense of, he has no option. I mean it in, you mean what you say, and you have to take heed with that. I understand both sides because I remember I came on here and said whatever Terry McLaurin wants, pay the man. But I understand both sides. You saying that you want considerably more than around $33 million a year, which is essentially what DK Metcalf is getting. Meaning you want to be amongst the top 3 highest paid wide receivers in the league. If you look at Terry McLaurin's output, you can understand why he would ask for that. But I also understand if you're Washington, it's like, we feel you're uber important, and we feel that we want you on this roster, especially as much as I like the acquisition of Debo Samuels. We have not seen Debo Samuels as a number one receiver on a solid team in a minute, due to injuries, due to age, and when he was a number one receiver, that's when Brandon Ayuk emerged. So this Washington team, especially coming off the NFC Championship last year, has high hopes. And those hopes, I don't believe, is going to get could be reached without someone like Terry McLaurin, which is why I originally said pay him what he is owed. But I would caution, and I think it's not just me cautioning. I think the Washington Commanders understand this. Look at those situations. Look at Jamar Chase situation. Look at Justin Jefferson situation. Look at CeeDee Lamb situation. Look at DK Metcalf. I love Terry McLaurin as a commander. I want to see him remain as a commander. But he is not Jamar Chase, nor is he Justin Jefferson, and I don't think I think he wants to get paid in the realm of CeeDee Lamb and DK. Well, here's where I feel Terry McLaurin has leverage. You hear a lot of people, and I'm close to feeling that way too. But I also I don't want to stunt what somebody's ability to make as much as they can make. But I don't think. I think you can have an argument with DK Metcalf, but I don't think Terry McLaurin is on the same level as CeeDee Lamb, unfortunately. I know because he's a Cowboy, but I think Terry McLaurin is probably in that next tier. And if you're Terry McLaurin, you can say, okay, well, if you think that someone like a CeeDee Lamb is better than me, if you think that someone like a Jamar Chase is better than me, if you think that someone like a Justin Jefferson is better than me, go get him. By all means, go get him. And that is where the leverage is, because there's nobody out there that you can get. You have a top tier receiver in Terry McLaurin in the building. Terry's like, yo, if you don't want to pay me, go get someone to replace me and see how that works. I get that. But then you have the I guess nasty side of the negotiation, because Washington can come with, okay, well, yeah, you were one of our best receivers. Actually, I'm sorry. You were our best receiver, but we haven't gotten to as far as we got without Jaden Daniels, and you have been on this team for a minute. I want Terry McLaurin to get paid. And I want him to get paid by the Washington Commanders. And I think that he will get paid by the Washington Commanders. At least I hope. But me personally, I don't think you can question it, obviously, but man, as much as I hate to say this, I don't even think he's the best wide receiver in the division when you talk about CeeDee Lamb, and honestly, when you talk about A.J. Brown, who was a Super Bowl champ. But, and I'm not saying that to discredit his name, because again, I love Terry McLaurin. I want to see Terry McLaurin on this team. But just because a player, i.e. Terry McLaurin, i.e. Micah Parsons, requests a trade doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get traded. Hell, we just saw that with T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt requested a trade. The man is still we also saw that with Myles Garrett. Both of them requested a trade. Both of them ended up as the highest paid player, non-quarterback in the NFL, on the same team that they're on. So, I just hate. It feels like both. I don't know. Again, I want this to play out in the sense of I want Terry McLaurin to get paid. I don't know. Because on top of that, if you do pay him the money that you're asking for, are you going to be able to build out a solid team? Because you have Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract, but Washington is the oldest team in the NFL. Like, I know people may not know that. Washington is the oldest team. When you talk about Bobby Wagner, when you talk about Zach Ertz, when you talk about Von Miller, they are Marshawn Lattimore, they are the oldest team in football. So that tells me the three of the four names I just named on the defense side of the ball. That means that you're going to have to you're going to have to build out this roster, especially a defense that was one of the main reasons why you lost the NFC Championship last year. So are you going to be able to pay DK Metcalf? I mean, not DK Metcalf. Are you going to be able to pay Terry McLaurin and still be able to pay him what he feels he's owed and still build out a championship caliber team? That's essentially what you're wrestling with. That's considerably more than DK is a lot. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of a lot, football is back. That's kind of why I started this episode with football. It is back. We had the Hall of Fame game. Now, the Hall of Fame, this is essentially the first preseason game. No starters are really playing. Actually, no starters are playing. I think Trey Lance went out there. DJ, I don't know how to say her name, bro. He went out there. I think Kyle Allen was playing. This is just one. This is the first essential preseason game. This is also the game to commemorate a lot of the Hall of Fame inductees, like a Jared Allen from the Vikings, like a Sterling Sharp from the Green Bay Packers. That's essentially what it is. Antonio Gates is going into it. So you don't take much out of this game. The Chargers played the Lions, and the Chargers won 34-7. You don't take a lot out of this game because, again, no starters. And honestly, I don't even think the second-string people are playing. This is just the first preseason game, essentially, and this is a game to, I guess, kick off that football is officially started. No, it's not the regular season, but, yeah. But I will say this. Take what I'm going to say with a grain of salt because, again, like I said, you don't take much out of the preseason, especially the Hall of Fame game. But the Detroit Lions lost 34-7. Again, no starters were playing. Jared Goff wasn't out there. Amon-Ra St. Brown. No, none of the horses were out there. But and I do admit that I'm sure the offense and defense would look much different with the starters. I understand that. I am not negating that. But my biggest concern and my biggest fear for the Detroit Lions this year is how are they going to fare after losing their top two coordinators, both on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive side of the ball. I have all the faith in the world that Dan Campbell is a good coach, but you lost losing your top two coordinators is damn near close to losing your top player. The Ben Johnson, the Anthony Lance. I am interested to see how they look. A lot of that creativity that you saw, a lot of the trick plays, a lot of the exotic defenses that you saw, both of the architects of those are gone and got head coaching jobs. And for the life of me, I can't remember the last time a team lost their top two coordinators, both offensive and defensive coordinators, and won a Super Bowl the year later. Again, I believe in Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell is a great coach. I think his aggressiveness is good. I think that he is a player's coach. Like, players want to play with him, play for him. Players just love him as a coach. But he has even come out and said a lot of the creativity that you saw on the offense last year that was a staple for the Lions is out the door. And when I looked at that Hall of Fame game, again, I'm not taking much away from it. It's just early thoughts. It didn't look good at all. It looked, honestly, pedestrian. And I don't know if that's how it's going to look, obviously, with the starters and the when games really matter. But it looked like two different speeds we were watching. We were watching two teams at two different speeds. The Chargers looked like a team that, I will say that the Hall of Fame game was fun. Again, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it was fun. And I could eat crow by the end of the year. The Lions could, be very well in the Super Bowl when you look at the NFC. But it looked like the Chargers were much more prepared and more of a well-oiled machine than the Lions. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was shocked that Kyle Allen is still in the league. That was actually one of the biggest shockers and surprises to me watching that game. I was like, is that Allen? Is that Kyle Allen? Kyle Allen still in the league? Jeez. DJ Ungale. That's what I think it is. I think it's that. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But Trey Lance and DJ were going to play it. It's, yeah, man. This is a big year for a bunch of teams. I think this is, and I'm going to talk about this more in depth moving forward, because, we're pretty much about to be in the thick of it come September. It's going to be here. So most of August is going to be, divisional breakdowns and rankings and this, that, and the third for this episode or for this channel, and just preparing us for an NFL season and a college football season. College football is rapidly approaching as well. But this is a big year for the Detroit Lions. One of those teams, again, this is a big year for multiple teams, but the Detroit Lions, this is a huge year for them. It's at some point, you want to keep building on the success. You have to try to keep building on the success. You made it 2 years ago, you made it to an NFC championship. Last year, you lost in the second round. However, your entire, actually first round, second round, your entire defense was pretty much decimated with injury. And you had 4 or 5 turnovers against Washington. That's as as Washington learned the very next week, that's not going to win you a game in the playoffs. What it is you don't want to regress. And kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals, and again, I'm not going to go into depth until I talk about all these teams individually. Kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals, you don't want to regress. You don't want to be at the mountaintop and never, especially with this team. So, on top of it being a big year, this is also a year where you're going to have to essentially make history. Now, again, I could be wrong. I'm sure somebody in the comments will tell me how wrong I am. But, again, I don't know the last team that lost both their coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators, in the same year they win a Super Bowl. I don't know. But we'll see. But the Hall of Fame game does essentially spell that football is back. And I am excited to, dive deep into the NFL. I'm excited for everything, man. I'm excited for this season coming up. I got to check something. With it being the NFL season, I wanted to kind of, now, yes, if there's some breaking news or something, obviously we'll talk about it when we talk about other sports. But I do know that NFL takes up, and football, once it's underway, both college, both NFL, it takes a lot of the time and attention for just the sports world. And obviously, if NBA stuff pops up, we'll talk about it. But I wanted to kind of send off the NBA as a major topic with a idea and a topic that I saw on social media. Again, I don't know and I don't remember who originated this. I apologize. I can see their podcast, but I don't remember their names. I follow them, but I think I saw it on their podcast first. If I remember the name, I will definitely. In fact, I'm going to look up the name because I want to give them the credit that they're due. But they came up with a topic. The topic was if every player was in their prime, the Deep Three. Shout out to you guys, the Deep Three. That's where I got this topic. If they got it from somebody else, I don't know, but I got it from the Deep Three podcast. The question was presented: if every player in the NBA was in their prime, every single player, a singular prime season, what would be the ranking? And hold up. Did I just see something? Whew. I thought I just saw something crazy. Okay. I'm sorry. If every player was at their peak season, what would be the ranking? And I wanted to do that. Who would be in the top 10? I wanted to do that as kind of a send-off to the NBA. Again, I know that the season's already over. I know training camp starts in about 2 months. I know the rookies and everybody is there. But, yeah. Now, before I give this list, I want to preference it by saying that when I consider peak, I'm looking at a singular season. I'm not looking at necessarily their peak stretch, because in that case, it would be one and then a bunch. It would be tough. Um, but I'm looking at it. May you know what? And I'm going to contradict myself. It's not just going to be a season, but maybe a season or two. No more than 2 or 3 seasons. No more than 3 seasons. But when they were at their peak, where would they rank today if that's who they were? I think it's easier for me to start this list from 1 to 10 because that's just what it is. At number 1, I have LeBron James. Now, I have been a staunch believer that the 2018 LeBron James was the best LeBron James you've ever seen. I have since probably changed my mind because I would always say the reason why 2018 LeBron James was the best LeBron James ever is because of IQ. And I felt he was at his peak IQ-wise in 2018. But then I thought to myself, and I listened to a lot of people talk, and I'm like, yeah, you make some good points. LeBron James wasn't dumb. LeBron James didn't have low IQ when he was in Miami. And then on top of that, he was at the peak of his athleticism, the peak of his strength. Miami LeBron James was, when we talk about the greatest player of all time, and a lot of people bring up LeBron James, most of their argument comes from, and rightfully so, most of their argument comes from that Miami LeBron James run. I don't know if we've seen a player better than that. So number 1 is LeBron James. And again, these are current players. So I can't just throw out Michael Jordan. These are current players. If they were in their peak, where would they rank currently? Number 2 is where I saw some pushback. Number 2 is, to me, number 2 is clear, but I know a lot of people, they put, someone like Nikola Jokic. They put someone like KD, which I understand. But to me, it is clear cut that number 2 has to be Steph Curry. If you want to look at one singular season, look at 2016. The man led a team to 73 wins in the regular season. He averaged 30 points on 50, 40, 90, and was the steals leader. Unheard of. That's Steph Curry. Along with the 2000, in fact, from 2015 to 2017, that Steph Curry was one of the main, that kind of is when the talking point started matriculating as to, is he better than, or is he the best point guard of all time? I think that for me, it was solidified at the Olympics this year, but that's where the conversation started. And that Steph Curry was different, man. I'm sorry. I know I'm a Steph fan, but who else? Who? Like, when you watch that, how get like that? He was also, I know he had Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, but he also was one of the key parts of the best defense and one of the best teams we've ever seen. I think that 2017 Golden State Warriors that had KD and stuff, that's the greatest team I think we've ever seen. And honestly, if everyone was healthy, I think you can argue that 2019 team that had DeMarcus Cousins is up there too. But a lot of that is because of Steph Curry. So I have Steph Curry at number 2. I think it's clear-cut number 1 and number 2 for me is LeBron and Steph. And number 3, I know a lot of people, and I'm number 3, I have KD. That 2014? That 2014, I believe KD. Look, I know people want to, throw the whole snake thing out there. I know people want to disagree with his decision to leave Oklahoma City Thunder, but when you just look at that MVP year as well as the year after, there was a good point where people were arguing at the time, maybe not all time, but at the time, that Kevin Durant was the best player in basketball. It For the longest, it's always been KD or LeBron. Now, obviously, LeBron won that argument most times, but when we talk about who was number two, usually it was KD until Steph Curry really started emerging. And for that, I have to put KD at number three. Even with Russell Westbrook, even with how that's the thing too, man. I know that KD only has 2 rings, both with the Golden State Warriors, and he's played with some Hall of Fame teammates like a Kyrie Irving, like a James Harden, like a Russell Westbrook, like a Devin Booker. Even through all, and I know he, in Brooklyn he didn't win. In Oklahoma City he blew a 3-1 lead. I get it, cool. But KD is damn near a 50, 40, 90 player for his career. He's just a few percentage points off of, I think, the 50 or the 40 and the 90. KD, it's no question that he is one of the greatest offensive weapons, if not the most, the greatest offensive weapon we've ever seen. And that, I believe it was 2014 when he won the MVP. That year was different. So I have KD at number 3. Number 4, and this is where the argument came in, because a lot of people had my number 4 at number 3, and that's Nikola Jokic. There's a difference between best and dominant. I think that's what people have to understand. There's a difference between best and most dominant. Just because you're the best at something doesn't necessarily mean that you're the most dominant. And it's also not a disrespect to say that, oh, well, you're the best, but you're not the most dominant. For instance, you can argue that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the best center of all time. I don't think that there's an argument that Shaquille O'Neal was the most dominant player of his time. I think that Nikola Jokic is already a top 10 center of all time. I also think that he is the most offensive gifted center of all time. I think that was for the longest, it was just Hakeem Olajuwon, but I feel that Nikola Jokic, especially when you talk about the passing and the court vision, is better offensively than Hakeem Olajuwon. And I don't remember. I think it was the man is a 3-time MVP. Let me say that, and probably should be a 4-time. But I think his first or second MVP, the one that the fact that year after year a center is in conversation with leading the league in assist is something I don't think we will ever see again. I know that people keep saying someone like Alfred Şengün is baby Jokic. No, he is not. And no offense to Alfred Şengün, he's a great player, but there's one Steph, just like there's one Bron, just like there's one KD, because people always say, oh, Brandon Ingram's a poor man's KD, or Trae Young's a poor man's Steph. No, they're not. Not even close. No one is going to. There's not going to be another Nikola Jokic. And I believe it was the second MVP. That's when he was just like, he was on another level. Nikola Jokic, there's a reason why when we talk about the best players in the league right now, like in their current form, it's clear cut who the best player is. I know that there's an argument between two and down, but number one is usually, and it is, Nikola Jokic. So I have Nikola Jokic at number 4. Number 5, I have Giannis. Giannis is he's now there. There you go. Best, most dominant. I think that Nikola Jokic is the best player in the league right now. I don't know if there's a player more dominant than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Especially, was it 2021 when they won the championship against the Suns? Like, I think that's also the same year where he not only won the MVP but won the Defensive Player of the Year. I know that people want to like, oh, all he do is go north and south, and he travels all the time, and he ain't got no bag. Okay, well, what he does have is the ability to get to the rim damn near effortlessly. And he's also one of the best defensive players in the league. Yeah. Giannis, he's unstoppable. When he gets a full head of steam, he's unstoppable. You know, I was talking about people that watch basketball, people that watch sports, they'll understand it. It's like there's different ways to get to 30 points. I'll say that. When I look at someone like KD, to me, it's the most effortless 30 points you'll see. Like, there's been so many times that you'll watch the game, and you'll think to yourself, "Damn, I don't even think KD's having really a good game. Like, I don't remember any of his buckets." Then you'll look up at the scoreboard, and this man has 32, and only missed 5 shots. And then you'll sit to yourself and like, when the hell did he score? When the hell did he score 12 buckets? Like that, the most effortless 30 you've ever seen. And I'm not saying that that's like the way to go, but Giannis has the loudest 30 that you would see. Dunks, layups where your whole hand is above the rim. It's just a different approach. Both KD and Giannis score much differently than Steph Curry. Steph Curry is going to do most of his damage from the 3-point line, which is, I mean, obvious. He's the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. I said that to say Giannis is one of the loudest, most dominant players in the league. And in 2021, I believe, that is the year where he was at the peak of his powers. You won a championship. You won Defensive Player of the Year. You won, I believe I think that's the year he also won MVP. And, yeah, I have Giannis at number 5. Number 6, I have James Harden. Look, I agree that the what you do in the regular season has to carry over to the playoffs. I agree with the fact of I think James Harden's quote unquote legacy does take a hit every single time he doesn't perform in the playoffs. I think that James Harden's legacy is a very complicated one. And the reason why I think it's a complicated one because James Harden is one of the best players to ever touch a basketball court, especially when we talk offensively. He is a top 5. He's a top 4 shooting guard of all time. I think and this is someone that's an Allen Iverson fan. I know Allen Iverson led the Sixers to the championship or NBA Finals. It didn't win, but I think it's MJ, number 1. I think it's Kobe, number 2. D. Wade, number 3. And I have James Harden, number 4. Yo, James Harden, I think it was 2016. James Harden. No. Okay, let's so 2014 I believe was Kevin Durant. 2015 was Steph, 2016 was Steph, 2017 was Russell Westbrook. 2018 James Harden was, I don't know if we've seen a season like that yet. And we'll talk about the next person in a second, but bro, putting up 60-point triple doubles, 50-point triple doubles. I understand that the team that he had was kind of catered to his offensive style, but that was one of the greatest offensive seasons from a player we've ever seen. Obviously, the difference is didn't happen in the playoffs, but the regular season, whew, James Harden was Houston Rockets. James Harden is one of the main reasons. 2018 James Harden is one of the main reasons he found himself on the All NBA 75 list. That was one of the most magical seasons we have ever seen, especially offensively. Defensively, I mean, hey, but yeah. But that James Harden, I think there was a stretch where he had like multiple consecutive 30-point games, and it was yeah. I remember they did that for Kobe too. I think Kobe had like a 4-game stretch where he had 50 every game or something like that. James Harden was damn close, and that's why I have him at number 6. Number 7, look, I can't talk about James Harden having one of the greatest offensive seasons we've ever seen and not have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander close. I have Shai at number 7. Bruh, the season we just saw Shai have was arguably the greatest offensive season we had to lead the league in scoring. So you won the scoring title, you won the MVP, you won the Eastern Conference Player of the Year. Eastern Conference MVP. Or no, Western. I'm sorry, Western Conference MVP. You won the NBA Finals, and you won the Finals MVP. This season, look, you can say what you want about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You can talk about how he's a quote-unquote foul merchant. You can talk about the fact that, you may not like the style of his game. Cool. That does not take away from the fact that we just saw him have arguably one of the greatest offensive seasons and definitely accolade accumulated seasons we've ever seen. And the thing that I love about it the most is, people that call it foul baiting, they don't know. I don't think they understand what they're looking at, because, I think that he just understands how to manipulate the game to his benefit. And for people that hate that, it's just like, isn't that the goal? Isn't it? The goal is to make the game as easy as possible for yourself, which also accumulates in wins. Well, isn't that what Shai Gilgeous is doing? So what are we talking about? I have him at number 7 because, again, what he did last season was one for the record books. One of the greatest seasons from an individual player we've ever seen. At number 8, I have Luka Doncic. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, Jay, how do you have Luka at number 8 and you're leaving off some MVPs? True. And we'll talk about those MVPs in a second. But I think Luka, the fact that in a 2-year span, he led a Dallas Mavericks team who, might I add, if you look at the construction of those rosters, they should not have been where they ended up. But he led 2 teams to a Western Conference Finals and, yeah, because they lost to Golden State, and an NBA Finals. On top of that, he is one of the best offensive players we've ever seen. Even at he's still early into his career, but what Luka does with his size, his scoring ability. No, he don't play a lick of defense, but he well makes up for it on the offensive side of the ball. Luka, yeah. You know what? I'm going to take myself to court for a second. Judge, here's the argument. So I put Luka at number 7. I'm sorry, at number 8. At number 9, I had Kawhi Leonard. And I'm listening and I'm thinking about 2019 Kawhi Leonard. Hell, you can even go back to 2017 Kawhi Leonard before the Zaza Pachulia situation happened. He had the Spurs rolling. I think the court is asking me, and my brain and my mind is asking me, why not put Kawhi over Luka? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to come up with an answer. And I can't. So I think that I have overruled myself. I think number 8, I'm doing it. I'm changing on real time. And number 8, I'm putting Kawhi Leonard. I understand that injuries have played a part and played a major part in his career. And it also has played a major part of people forgetting who we're talking about. People forgetting just how good Kawhi Leonard has been in his career. I am going to say it, and I've said it before, and this is no disrespect. This is just my personal opinion. I feel Kawhi Leonard is one of the greatest two-way players we have ever seen. I would pick Kawhi Leonard over Scottie Pippen. I know Scottie Pippen was great with Michael Jordan. I know Scottie Pippen was great without Michael Jordan. I would pick Kawhi Leonard over Scottie. And I think that since we said no more than 3 years, you can look at 2017 to 2019. Obviously, his last full year in with the Spurs, and then the 1 year in Toronto when he led the team. Yes, I understand that injuries played a huge part, and I think that if Golden State was fully healthy, they wouldn't have won a championship. But that's not what happened. You lead a team, not just a regular. You lead a team to one of the best defensive teams we've ever seen, and you lead them to a championship. As great as Luka has been, he has never been able to. He led them to the finals. He hasn't led a team to a championship. Kawhi Leonard has led a team to the championship, and he's been the best player on a championship team that had Tim Duncan, that had Tony Parker, that had Manu Ginobili. He won Finals MVP when they were all still there. In that 2019, hell, even 2000, I will say 2019 more because that's the year when you really saw him pass the ball more. Like Kawhi Leonard has never really. It's crazy the story of Kawhi Leonard's career going into the league, he was just a D player, and I mean D as far as defense. He wasn't even 3 and D. He couldn't really score at all. So to go from that to be one of the best scorers in the league and one of the best defenders, and then in 2019, that's when he started distributing. He started passing the ball more to Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, and Kyle Lowry was on that team. Norman Powell was on that team. You also had Danny Green on that team. You also had Marc Gasol on that team. Serge Ibaka was on that team. Kawhi Leonard in 2019 was different. So I'm going to put Kawhi Leonard at number 7 and at number 8 and drop Luka to number 9. Everything I just talked about Luka remains the same. Now you have number 10. There's a lot of angles you can go. You can go with Joel Embiid. Certainly is one of the best centers we've seen, especially when healthy and offensively. He got it going. Defensively, he's great too. You can go with Chris Paul. I mean, when he's all said and done, I think Chris Paul will go down as a top 8 point guard of all time. Some can argue top 5. Then you have Russell Westbrook. And this has been, I think 10 was the hardest one for me, which is why I wanted to start at 1 and go to 10. Because you have Damian Lillard you can put. Damian Lillard, his prime in Portland was different. You can put Paul George. I know Paul George is the butt of everyone's joke, but Paul George in Indiana was leading that team to Eastern Conference Finals up against the Miami Heat. He led a Kawhi Leonard-less team in the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals. As great as all of them are, I really hate how we devalued the triple-double. I really hate how it's become a talking point of, oh, well, it's just a triple-double. Like, you know how many rebounds Russell Westbrook was gifted? I can tell you it wasn't 10. I have to put Russell Westbrook. 2017 Russell Westbrook, I understand that, didn't make a deep playoff run or whatever, and he didn't really have playoff success. But Russell Westbrook is a acquired taste, you can say. Pause. Whoa. But the way that he plays is different. And the fact of, I think he's had 4 seasons where he finished averaging a triple-double. 4 of them. I think the last one was with Washington. Like, I can't take that away from Russ. Russ is different. And as great as Joel Embiid was, as great as Chris Paul was, as great as Paul George, Damian Lillard, I don't think that there was a singular peak better than 2000 out of those players. I don't think there was a singular peak better than 2016 Russell Westbrook. Averaged a triple-double. A hefty triple-double, too. I think it was like a 30-point triple-double he averaged. And then proceeded to do that 3 more times. 2 or 3 more times. Yeah, I have to put Russell Westbrook at my top 10. So my 10, just to round it out, is LeBron James, Steph Curry, KD, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, James Harden, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kawhi Leonard, Luka Doncic, and I have Russell Westbrook. Those are my list. If every player was playing at their peak today, that is still in the NBA, what would the ranking be? That is it. Shout out again. I got it from the Deep Three. It's a podcast. They are a great podcast. Go check them out. If you don't like my list, if you think I left somebody out, if you don't like my order, put it in the comments. I would definitely like to talk about it. And there you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I truly, truly appreciate you guys. If you want a Popular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, links in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get as many subscribers as possible. I can't do it without you guys' help. If you like the content and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, share it, comment, like, do all that you need to do. I'm trying to grow, and I can't do it without you guys. So please, please follow, please share, and just spread the word. Same as my DSPs, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your DSPs, wherever you're listening to me. I appreciate you taking time out of your day, even if I'm background noise. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to me. I hope that you follow. I hope that you subscribe. If you are already following and subscribing, please send it to somebody that you think would like it. Please give me a thumbs up. Please rank it or rate it. I'm trying to grow the podcast everywhere, and I cannot do it without you guys' help. So I appreciate you guys. Also, for my socials, you have Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. I post pretty much daily there. That's the quickest way to get to me. I don't mind going back and forth. Just keep it respectful, and it just means that you're listening to me and you have an opinion. Both I care immensely about. So again, you keep it respectful. I don't mind going back and forth. Leave how you feel in the comment of whatever video. I post reels. I post shorts all the time. So again, I appreciate you guys, and until next time, much love.